Hey everyone, welcome to Plants and Politics. So the lawsuits just keep on coming. Two Capitol Police officers named James Blassingham and Sidney Hemby, not sure if I'm pronouncing their names right, but they filed a 40-page lawsuit against Donald Trump for physical and emotional injuries they sustained in the January 6th domestic terrorist attack. The legal filing alleges that Trump is responsible for the following violations: directing assault and battery, aiding and abetting assault and battery, directing intentional infliction of emotional distress, liability for incitement to riot, and liability for disorderly conduct. They rightfully, in my opinion, blame Trump for inciting the attack over the course of months, not just on that day. And they state that Trump also directed the terrorists to the Capitol. The complaint states, quote, "The insurrectionist mob, which Trump had inflamed, encouraged, incited, directed, and aided and abetted, forced its way over and past the plaintiffs and their fellow officers, pursuing and attacking them inside and outside the United States Capitol." The lawsuit also states that Officer Hemby was verbally and physically assaulted throughout the attack. He was hit with their fists and basically, as they describe it, anything else that these people had available to them. In addition, he had objects thrown at him and he was sprayed with chemicals, I'm assuming like bear spray and stuff. And it said that it irritated his eyes, skin, and throat, and it caused his skin to burn. Hemby was left with a cut that was less than 1 inch from his eye. He was bleeding. And he also had cuts and abrasions all over his face, his hands, and body. He also suffered from injuries to his hand, knee, back, and neck. And he continues to receive physical therapy 2 to 3 times a week for his back and neck injuries. It also notes that the domestic terrorists at one point pinned and crushed Officer Hemby against a large metal door. Likewise, the lawsuit says that, quote, "The threats and attacks on Officer Blassingham seemed endless. He too was struck with fists and various weapons." They describe flagpoles, stanchions, building directional signs, water bottles, and then other objects that he said he couldn't identify. And he said that it felt as if every part of his body had been hit. At one point, he was slammed against a stone column and he hit his spine and the back of his head on the column, and he was unable to move. This officer, Blassingham, is Black, and the complaint states that he lost count of the number of times the terrorists yelled the N-word in his face. The terrorists also threatened him. One of them said that they would, quote, "fuck you up if you don't get out of our way." Another said, quote, "get down or I'll put you down." And the lawsuit notes that over the past several months, both Hemby and Blassingham have struggled with residual emotional trauma. Blassingham reports that he's felt depressed. He feels a sense of guilt for not being able to help others, and he has survivor's guilt, being that he survived and others did not. Both of them say that they've had trouble sleeping and they have a sense of anxiety, it sounds. Patrick Malone is the attorney for these two officers, and he believes that additional officers will eventually join this legal challenge. But he said, quote, "everyone proceeds at their own pace, and because of the terrible and unique nature of their injuries, it will take some time for them to become comfortable with talking about what happened in a court of law." So I hope to God that Trump doesn't just try to settle this lawsuit or any of the others that are pending, because they could unleash a veritable treasure trove of phone records, text messages, emails, messages sent on apps. I mean, this would be incredible, the amount of documentation that we could get access to through the discovery process. And one thing to note is that they specifically cite Trump's call with Kevin McCarthy in this lawsuit. So it's likely he would be called to testify, or at least to be deposed under oath. So you think McCarthy is going to lie for Trump under oath, especially when there are other witnesses to that call? Hell no. He's not going to go down for him. He might BS, he might nibble around the edges, but he's not going to take a bullet for him in that way. So Donald Trump will get no peace in his retirement, or whatever the hell he's doing and what he's calling this. And that's the way it should be. For all the lives he destroyed, for how many people died due to his incompetence, his abhorrent policies, and then his stoking and incitement of racist and violent behavior like this. If the courts and juries don't take him down, let's hope that the legal bills will. We know he has massive amounts of debt coming due. And then on top of it, he's having to pay for all of the legal fees for all of this stuff. I think it's awesome. And I find such poetic justice in the fact that he amped these people up. And then he left them hanging. He left them on the hook for their actions at the Capitol. And they have free will. He just left them to twist in the wind with all of their legal issues. And now it's their actions and their words that might do him in and cost him tons of money. That's the only thing he loves and cares about. So that's the best way. That's the perfect place to hit him. But we have to remember, people lost their lives that day, and also in the days that followed. And it was completely preventable, but for the words and actions of Trump, his allies, QAnon, 7 people would still be alive. 7 families would not be grieving and missing their loved ones right now. So do I care what happens to Trump? Hell no. I care if it's good, because nothing good should happen for him or to him. He deserves to spend the rest of his miserable, greedy life behind bars, and his friends, his family, his allies, everyone who perpetuated this lie deserve the same. All right, guys, I'll let you know if I hear any more on this front. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk with you soon. Take care.